Thank you so much for joining me. So, hi everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. So today, actually, we are wanted to talk about the very a trend topic about China IP, especially for their innovative drugs. So, as everyone may have read the news on September 11, 2020, China's National Medical Product Administration published its proposal regulation on patent linkage, the measure for the implementation of the early settlement mechanism for drug patent dispute. So this proposed rule provides details on how NMPA plans to implement what is, in sense, a Chinese version of Hatch-Waxman, a regulatory law allowing reference product sponsor to assert their patent and at least temporary block final approval for generic competitors and giving generic companies exclusivity against other follow-on products as an incentive to challenge reference product patents. So when I read this news, I find it's very huge impact on how the Western pharmaceutical company to get into China with innovative drugs. So I called Tony and my good friend to get insight. I find his view and it's very insightful. And also I think he agreed that's his huge impact. So I'm very grateful today. I have such a chance to invite him to share such insight with everyone. So Tony is a partner at the John State Shanghai office, and the chairman of Behanix Group is a network of senior executives and investors and professional service providers in the cross-border China life science industry. Actually, Behanix have been very active to bridge US and China. So he has represented clients in the complex cross-border IP, especially matters relating to China since 2004. So I really see him as a pioneer, especially in the life science for the IP matter. So included the bigger clients as Abivia and Biogen and Celgene and Hengrui. And also Tony has led John State's China IP team and the local council in representing the multinational pharmaceutical company in patent invalidation and infringement dispute before Chinese patent re-examination board and IP courts. So Tony, welcome. Thank you so much for your time today.
Well, thank you, Echo, for inviting me to this webinar. And I understand you have a very enthusiastic following in terms of Western biopharmaceutical companies very interested in bringing their technology and the product to China's pharmaceutical market. And today's environment is as good as any time and much better than before. And certainly compared to 2004, that was the year I moved from Silicon Valley to Shanghai. That was just a few years after China joined the WTO. And my idea was that, as at that point, a biotech IP lawyer in California, there will be a future for biopharmaceutical companies, innovators in China's market. Now, it has taken quite a bit longer than I expected, but in the last 2-3 years, China's innovative biopharmaceutical market has come alive, and everybody sees that. And now IP, in particular pharmaceutical patent, which is the topic we want to discuss today, is becoming critically important for your business in China and definitely for deal making in China. So I'm very happy today to have this opportunity to have a conversation with Echo on this topic. and also to answer questions, discussion, and to share a few observations and maybe some war stories with you.
Thank you so much. So we really wanted to address, to provide such insight for 3 questions today. And before we, Tony, go to the details about his insights, I do want to get some of the high-level opinion from Tony. I'm very interested because the Hatch-Waxman Act is kind of like a big deal in U.S. history, IP for pharmaceutical company. And so it was back to 1980s. So it's kind of China, we really see follow such the FDA regulation and the golden standard. So what do you see the China IP, the forecast, the feature development will be follow the US rule more, or will develop their unique strategy?
Well, as the title of today's webinar, it is a Hatch-Waxman Act of Chinese character or Chinese characteristic. It has definitely shades from the US system, but it is not the US system. It's definitely not a copy. And then we would explain in some detail later. It has taken on elements from other countries that have the early dispute resolution mechanism. Actually, the Chinese lawmakers will not call it a patent linkage. They will call it early dispute resolution mechanism. And that's the term actually used in the US-China phase 1 trade agreement signed in January of 2020. And that agreement contains 3 pharmaceutical IP specific articles. And Article 1.11 is about what we will focus on today about providing early dispute resolution mechanism in the US. We call it patent linkage. But now, historically, innovators have wished and have advocated for China to set up a patent linkage type of a system for a long time, maybe 20 years. And the last time it was very seriously raised was before China amended its patent law. The last time that was 2008, and innovators proposed that. However, that the 3rd patent law amendment actually ended up only picking up the 1/2 of the US Hatch-Waxman Act, which is the part that is helping the generic drug company, that is to provide the BOLAR exemption, the safe harbor for generic drug company, but did not provide any of the litigation patent enforcement mechanism before generic drug reaches the market.
Yeah, that's great. And so the purpose of the US Hatch-Waxman Act is really balance the innovation and the drug affordability. I think this is really the every day, even the president election is also talk about this topic. So what do you see how well China's balance innovation and the drug affordability?
Yes. That's an excellent lead-in question. China is definitely trying its own way of balancing the need for innovative medicine and quick access to the most advanced medicine the world has invented with the affordability. Now, the part we have seen so far in terms of a pro-innovation certainly has been in the regulatory reform side, which started, about 5 years ago, 2015, and then later, and that has brought a sea change improvement in clinical trials, NDA approval, China's joining ICH, and all these very good things the industry is benefiting from. On the other hand, China also has done a lot of things experimenting in terms of things to address affordability in its own way. Part of that, is certainly to meet the pressure from the public. People, some of you may know or remember 2 years ago, the summer of 2018, there was a very popular blockbuster movie in China called Dying to Survive. It was adapted from a kind of a real story about, cancer patients, that can really benefit from innovative targeted therapy, small molecule drugs. However, because there was no medical insurance coverage, you couldn't afford it, and then, imported generic drugs from other country, not approved in China, and then there was a counterfeit, and so on and so forth. But anyway, the movie's morale to viewers came out to be that somehow the drug companies more had some kind of a moral obligation, or the government having moral obligation to really reduce the costs. And now we see the government using the volume, several mechanisms. We can discuss some of the detail. One is the national reimbursed drug list negotiation to reduce price. And then once the drug becomes generic, using volume-based procurement to really drastically reduce the price. And then of course there is the GQCE, to make generic quality to be high, and then make it the condition to really force down and to make companies marketing the same drug to compete on pricing. And so that's the kind of pro-innovation and reducing drug cost balancing act Chinese government has been playing. And now today we're talking about another element, government is trying to introduce, the Hatch-Waxman Act, using the IP as a lever to try to strike this balance between promoting innovation and promoting affordability.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned about that movie. I want to translate that from Chinese, literally, is called "I'm Not the God of the Medicine." Actually, when the movie released, I was in China, so I got a chance to watch it. It's a quite an amazing reflector what's going on in China in the pharmaceutical industry. But that, interestingly, that movie has some impact on the Chinese government regulation, right? After that, we released the 4+7, and so cut the generic drugs profit by 19%. That's what we really see, resulting in a lot of the Chinese pharmaceutical company try to license in the innovative drugs from outside of China. So it's a great conversation with you, Tony. I think next I would give the time to you and share more the detail and the insights. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Echo. Let's see, I want to make sure that the screen sharing is working for everybody. Do you see
yes,
the first
good.
page? of the slide?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, all right. And this is meant to give people time to do Q&A. So some of the slides I will, really fly through, and I can make this available to attendees for those of you who like to read the text, later. Okay, so let's. All right. Now, pharmaceutical patent, we take it for granted in the West to be very, very important for the industry. But that has not been the case in China for decades. And I want to show you this chart using 4 significant innovative pharmaceutical product developed by Western pharmaceutical companies. And the circle, the dot, indicate the year Chinese patent protecting the respective drugs expired. And then the chart is showing, the change in sales volume of the drug in China. And here you notice, even as recent as 2016, 2017, 2015, and all that, the time frame in China, after patent expiration, the sales volume of many innovative drugs continue to go up in China. So that, as you can see, for pharmaceutical company, the lesson you draw from this is that, well, it doesn't matter that much. Okay, my Chinese patent expire, I can continue grow my sales in China. And this has been the case for decades in China, that the older generation of executives running pharmaceutical company operation in China is that it is a branded generic market. When your brand has recognition, you can sell drugs even when you do not have patent protection in China. However, we had some lead-in discussion a few minutes ago. Since the 2016-2017 timeframe, that the situation has changed because of Chinese government policy in trying to make innovative medicine more affordable for the population. And that resulted, and they use these 2 particular mechanisms. One is to use the national reimbursed drug list negotiation. Basically, once you get on this list, then your drugs sold in Chinese hospital will get government insurance reimbursement, and therefore you have to negotiate with the central government to get on the list. And in that negotiation process, the government gets you to lower the drug price significantly. And then the second one here, VBP cliff, is a volume-based procurement. And the first one, I say, it's a kind of a soft patent cliff. The second one really is a hard patent cliff. And I will explain a little bit further. Okay, so here this chart show you in terms of the some of the price changes. Well, the number of new medicine that were negotiated for inclusion in this government medical insurance list, and then the amount of the percentage of price cut. And in particular, here I give you example of several drugs. The top two, probably, it's very well-known drugs. And then the last one is well-known in China, not outside of China. And now I list Comana by this Chinese pharmaceutical company, Beta Pharma here, because it is a Me Too competitor to Iressa, and it's a EGFR inhibitor, and particularly for treating lung cancer. Now here, structurally, Comana is similar to another, inhibitor of the same class. However, it succeeded, in getting around the patent. The structurally has a similarity and get around. So therefore, here you have a situation in terms of several drugs. They're not chemically identical, but they are, Me Too. We will characterize that. And there, where you have that situation, meaning there is no one with a broad patent to cover this particular category of a product, then the NRDL negotiation, can really, put pressure on you. So if you are not willing to cut the price, then the other Me Too product will be brought into the government medical insurance scheme, and you will be excluded. Now we talk about the harder patent cliff, that is the volume-based procurement. And here I'm showing a table from a recent article just a few weeks ago, published by General Biologic, one of their feature article to tell us about the result from the volume-based procurement negotiation conducted end of August 2020. And this particular table show you the now 4 rounds of this kind of government. Now, initially it was 4+7, meaning several large municipal cities plus several big provinces. They combine their pharmaceutical procurement together, and it's using volume to exchange for low bidder. And then with the success of the 4+7, the government expanded that, really nationwide, and then now using the term volume-based procurement because it's no longer this 11 location. And also gradually, every year would select some additional pharmaceutical product to enter this competition. Now here in the VBP scheme, you're basically talking about a situation when the particular product has multiple generic drug competitor, and then the government set the ceiling price, and then ask people to bid below that, and then there are some other condition. And when you get the slide, you will see the bottom right corner. It talks about when you submit bid, you have to meet at least one of these three conditions. Basically, different ways of forcing you to significantly lower the price. Now, this one slide I want to I selected ultimately the winning bid price. This major diabetes product, metformin. One is a sustained release tablet, another is just the immediate release tablet. And you will see, I highlighted the winning bid price for the sustained release. The winning, the lowest price is 6.8 penny RMB. And for the immediate release, the lowest bidder was 1.5 penny RMB. Okay, so if you use the US dollar, this is a lot less than 1 penny. You do not even have a currency, something that can be used to pay for that. Okay, for that one tablet. So that is how ridiculously low the VBP, has forced drug companies to cut the price in order to stay in the hospital market. Okay, the drug cheaper, the price is cheaper than water, significantly so. So now you can understand this combination of these two cliffs now is forcing companies to try really hard to stay away from a patent cliff. And I would say that is one major reason that there is all this in-licensing deal making, today, that Chinese companies, innovative companies, and the traditionally generic drug companies, they now are forced to really try hard to, build a pipeline that will not be subject to this kind of a patent cliff, because that would really make their business, not sustainable. Okay, so that is the name of the game, and it's going to be so for, right? I mean, going forward, it has been the case now, and so the next part I want to talk about. Okay, now you have all these Chinese companies wanting to do deal with you. Now, how do you, make the deal making successful, consummated, and whether how common patent problems that will get in the way of doing this type of deals. And I'll quickly share with you some of the common patent problems we see that in the marketplace, and the people see, and sometimes they do, really make the deal making difficult, or make the deal fail. One thing, you may not believe it, but it still happen, and sometimes happen in major way. There is no patent filing in China, even though innovators, they have patent filing elsewhere. PD-1, PD-L1 is one such example. Now we know China now has a more approved PD-1 than any other country. Okay, but now maybe one part of that is China does not have a Hongzhou patent. That particular very important patent for this field, it was never filed in China. Okay, and also in CAR-T area, I don't have time to go into detail. In CAR-T area, we also see very, very major, highly valuable CAR-T patent was not filed in China. So that still happens. So, you know, especially, I mean, in this business, some of the most valuable patents are coming from academic, you know, institutions, and that still happen with some frequency. Okay, I wouldn't say a lot, but sometimes it happened to very important, highly valuable invention. And more often, you see that patent claims are granted in China to be much narrower than the patent claims innovators get in other jurisdictions, and sometimes so narrow as to not protecting the product. Or the patent claim is a type that would not be suitable for listing in the Chinese version of Orange Book. Now, the detail of that, we have a slide a little later, talk about what type of patents can be listed in Chinese Orange Book according to the draft implementation regulation coming from Chinese Patent Office and Chinese FDA. And a third type, this happens very often, is that certain types of patent claims, very common in the United States, they are not permissible by Chinese patent law or the existing Chinese patent law, such as administration method of a drug. Okay, and then also broad antibody claims, whether that being target oriented or structural oriented, they are very difficult to get or almost impossible to get in China. And then last but not the least, that challenges from generic drug competitors if you have a product that somehow has drawn early attention from generic drug companies in China, and they can go about frustrating the patent prosecution when you are still prosecuting it, and there is very active use of third-party opinion to try to stop you from getting your Chinese patent. And when you do get Chinese patent, it's somewhat common that the generic drug companies will file invalidation challenges, sometimes fairly early, you know, not too long after you have obtained the Chinese patent. Okay, and the last couple of years, 2018, 2019, there is also this phenomenon, and here I'm using one slide. This, I mean, Dr. Feng Xi from AstraZeneca, China, you know, did a summary of the phenomena observed last year, that actually Chinese FDA approved many generic drug applications, even though the innovators' Chinese patents have not expired. Okay, so that certainly the phenomenon, and you know, it's not one, two cases, you know, it's multiple cases that really highlighted the importance of China having, well, you know, what we select the title to be something like a Hatch-Waxman Act, patent linkage. And so now we are very close to having this early dispute resolution mechanism to be written into Chinese patent law, because you know, we have seen the draft and we have seen the implementation regulation, and now starting next week, the Standing Committee of National People's Congress will discuss patent law amendment, and this is on top of their multi-day meeting agenda next week. And so we, this industry will be watching very closely whether NPC will ended up approving patent law amendment, including this early dispute resolution mechanism. So now here I won't dive into detail, and I mentioned earlier, this early dispute resolution is written in Article 1.11 of the US-China Phase 1 trade deal, and it is unambiguous, this particular article. It says China shall provide, okay? And I might as well mention another article of the Phase 1 deal, Article 1.12, talks about patent term extension, and this is also a very, very obviously important thing for innovator. And the National People's Congress in July put out a Article 75 in proposed amendment to the patent law, and this one provides now we see particular language about how they envision patent linkage will work. We will use some stepwise example to explain how this will work a little later. And so Article 75 of this draft amendment contains this early dispute resolution mechanism. And last month, September, the Chinese FDA and the Chinese Patent Office, NMPA, CNIPA, they jointly publicized the implementation regulation for comments. And this one provided the detail. And I will use a few slides to explain, because this one now practitioners, you can see, the how it will operate. And the first step, for innovators is that how you get your Chinese patent to be listed in this catalog of China's marketed drugs, okay, AKA Orange Book. And the implementation regulation draft said that for chemical drug, these are 3 categories of patents can be listed. Your API patent, compound, composition, meaning formulation, and indication. But for biologics, now, I assume many companies, today's webinar, you are developing biologics. Only sequence structure patents can be listed. Now, this, you can, I can understand it's a major disappointment for companies developing biologics. And I know folks are, preparing comments, and comments on this draft implementation regulation is due October 25th. And so if you want to suggest change, now is the time to get your input. And this limitation only in sequence structure patents highly, highly problematic. Okay. Okay. Now, this one now actually is this one is very much like the U.S. system. The 4 types of statements generic drug company or the biosimilar companies need to make when they file their drug application for approval, type 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's just like in the U.S. And the type 4 statement, well, it's just like paragraph 4, challenge. Okay, whether it's challenging the patent being invalid or you do not infringe. Now here, you will see the language they use for type 4 is not called do not infringe. They created China, this is something of a Chinese characteristic. They created a new category of in terms of a legal definition that is about whether the generic drug fall into the protection scope of the listed patent, not infringement. And that is because the suggested amendment to patent law, the Article 75, is not about defining what constitutes infringement of a Chinese patent. That is in Article 11 of the Chinese patent law. Article 11 currently is not being amended, and that one, so without that amendment, applying for generic drug approval still will not be counted as a infringement activity. The Chinese lawmaking is creating this new category of determining whether the drug falls basically under the scope of the claim, but not legally a infringement act. Okay, and now so let's say a generic drug company now has filed the type 4 challenge. What can the patentee do? And this now we are in step 3. Here it's for the innovator. Again, now you have a Chinese characteristic. You either can go to court or you can go to the patent office. And then let them decide. And so basically you start litigation. And what can happen? There are 5 different scenarios here. We probably don't have time to go into the details of that. What I want to say importantly is that when the innovator started this litigation for chemical drugs, your initiation of the litigation will stay Chinese FDA's approval of the generic drug for a period of 9 months. Okay, so that compares to the 30 months stay, or roughly compared to the 30 months stay in the United States. Now, this is quite problematic in that if you decide to bring a lawsuit before Chinese court, when you look at the statistics at the Beijing IP court, one would think that's likely where you will file this lawsuit. Beijing IP court on average takes about 28 months to make a decision on a pharmaceutical patent infringement lawsuit. Okay, that that's not going to work for the 9-month stay. And actually, the law and regulation says it needs to be a court decision that has taken effect, which in China means you have already gone through a second instance. Now, that's even much longer than 28 months, which, to practitioners will think this in effect is telling innovators is that you should just go to the patent office and ask in the patent office to make their administrative assessment whether the generic drug will fall within the scope of your Chinese patent. Okay, so that already taken up a good amount of time explaining this, and this is the last slide here. What it means for innovator is that you really, because this is coming down the pipe, you want to adapt your Chinese patent and make them suitable for listing in China's Orange Book. And for that, you need to get the claims that will really cover the drug label and indication, and then there are a variety of strategy how you keep the window open when for filing divisional application, when you still you're not quite sure what the eventual drug label will be like. And you want to anticipate and preempt challenge from generic drug company. Now, for your deal making, because of now this environment, your licensee, they are now spending more resources to conduct very detailed IP due diligence, and you need to anticipate the questions coming from this licensee. And where appropriate, you want to work with your Chinese partners, and they have resources can help you to strengthen your Chinese patent portfolio. Okay, Echo. I think this lasted a bit longer than I anticipated. I hope it is helpful to our attendees.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tony. It's very helpful, and also you go into so much detail. So much. Thank you so much. I do receive the question here. So just for other live audience, you can submit your question through the chat or through our virtual group. So we will ask Tony directly. They mentioned about you mentioned one slide. They think list out of the patent problems for the foreign biotech companies, and some of the audience say that is really relate to them, and they ask it like cannot be listed in the Chinese Orange Book. No, so they just how can they make sure like that is be listed that the other or they are patent filed in US or Europe or in China can be meet that standard?
Well, because the rule is pretty clear about what types of patents can be listed in China's Orange Book. So in your patent prosecution process, then you want to work with your counsel, and you want to ask this question. Okay, now to ensure at least some of the claims can be listed in the Orange Book. Now, I mean, you're not going to say that you only want to prosecute claims that can be listed in Orange Book. Okay, claims that cannot be listed in the Orange Book may still provide you significant value. Okay, because once a generic drug company reach the market, there is an infringement under Article 11 of the Chinese patent law, and you don't need to go through the early dispute resolution mechanism. You can go to the regular infringement lawsuit process to enforce your patent, which would include enforcing your claims not listable in Orange Book. And of course, the threat of such enforcement has impact, vis-a-vis this competitor. Okay, but to really have the effect of stopping the generic from getting approval, you do need, these particular types of patent claims, and that's why you want to work with someone on your team who know that. Now, another thing you need to keep in mind is that what can be listed, this is going to be a moving target. Okay, we show the example. Right now, they propose for biologics only, the sequence patent. Now that is very objectionable to all the biologics innovative companies, and they're advocating to broaden the type of biologics patents. So this will likely to be a moving target, and that speaks about your patent prosecution strategy in China need to be designed in such a way to keep that window for divisional filing open. So when this target move, you will still have opportunity to file new type of claim to meet the then changed listing requirement. Now, China's divisional filing rules differ significantly from that in the US and Europe. So there you need someone on your team who is familiar with the strategy for keeping this divisional filing window open. Hopefully, for the patent life. And therefore, when rule change in your favor, you will still be in a position to take advantage of a rule change.
Okay, thank you. And there's another question. They said, when should they get the China IP fully in place? Because they are the early stage, still in the phase 1 stage, and but they just they filed the China IP. They are not so sure if that's the middle order standard or is covered by other IP. And so they said, what's the right time, like balance the cost and also the protection, right time for them to get fully covered?
Yes, this is a very excellent question. Very, very, very practical, and it applies to lots of companies. There you want to ideally you want to get something early on, and you want to keep the window for additional filing open. So as you enter into phase 2, phase 3, when you have a better idea, what kind of a formulation, what kind of indication, and so on and so forth, then you will be able to pursue claims that would have more direct coverage of the drug label. Okay, and one way we kind of do that is you can use this strategy of for your initial patent filing, or what we call parent application, you can ask for delay in the Chinese Patent Office prosecution. You can ask for delay of a couple of years or so, and that will keep your future divisional filing open for an extended period of time. Now, in the meantime, let's say you also want to get some Chinese patent, and therefore give your licensing discussion, if you so decide, even in the early stage when you're only doing phase 1 clinical trial, you already have an interested party who want to do deal with you, and there certainly they would like to see you have a Chinese patent. You can prosecute in some early filed divisional patent application. And there you can initially go for claims that are relatively narrow in scope, therefore will be easier to overcome references examiner find, and you get the Chinese patent. And therefore, that will help give your licensee confidence that you have a good IP in China. And they see that you have designed your strategy to keep the window for future filing wide open. And okay, so this kind of a combination will address your immediate need and then the long-term need when you actually already know what the drug label will be like, and you want your patent to really have solid cover of your eventual label.
Yeah, so we will take a last question because I know you have a hard stop at 10. We have 2 minutes. So regarding the data exclusivity or the regulatory exclusivity, do you think it will be implemented in future, or what's the latest progress of the regulatory exclusivity in China?
Yes, this is a very, very important issue. It has gone through roller coaster in China's regulatory lawmaking process. Okay, the high point I would say was like in early 2018, when then Chinese FDA issued the draft data exclusivity proposal for comments. And there, it even proposed RDP for biologics 12 years, has exclusivity for, orphan indication, rare disease, for pediatrics, so on and so forth. However, since the second half of 2018, people don't hear about that anymore. And last year, 2019, China amended its drug administration law. China amended its drug registration regulation. Now you will expect RDP will be laid out in the drug administration law and the drug registration regulation. But no, it doesn't exist in either the law or the regulation. Now, people speculate that Chinese FDA and the China's State Council may nevertheless still issue some kind of a regulation to provide regulatory data protection. But that's, I say that's still very much speculation. It's hard to tell whether we will see RDP in China in the near future. We hope so, but we cannot. I would say, one cannot count on that.
Yeah, but definitely in the past few years, we can see China IP have been developed very quickly. And I think it must have with the influence from the experts like you. And thank you so much again, Tony, for today. I know you have another meeting now. So for all the audience, if you have more questions, please send it to us. We would for sure to have the offline conversation with Tony as well. And also, if you wanted to receive this presentation and send an email to us, and we will share with you, and with Tony's permission, of course.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Echo.
Okay, so we will hope everyone stay well and stay healthy. Where are you? And thank you so much for joining us today. And I think we all learned a lot of this complex topic. And it's also very important when you trying to license out or do a deal transaction with Chinese biopharma companies. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Okay. Take care, everyone.
Bye, Tony.
Bye now.